6:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news read by J. Yogaraj. For C headlines, the President reiterates that he will allow non-violent and non-hatred protests. Circular restricting the calling of officers to government offices. QR code will be implemented fully from tomorrow. 6 fuel ships to arrive in the island shortly. Presidential Secretariat to reopen tomorrow. All government schools will reopen tomorrow. Schools to operate 3 days a week. Southern province schools to function on all 5 days. Railway station masters call off trade union action. News overseas. Orc fire emergency declared as a wildfire rages near Yosemite National Park. In sports, Chandimal's 80 put Sri Lanka in command on day 1 of the second test against Pakistan in Galle. And those are the headlines. Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara says the QR trial system was successful. The trial operation was carried out during the last 3 days at selected Sepetco fuel filling stations island-wide. The QR system will be fully operational from tomorrow in island-wide fuel stations. Meanwhile, the minister also said another 6 fuel ships are to arrive in the island within the next few days. Accordingly, the fuel stocks for another 30 days are available in the country. The Ministry of Public Administration, Home Affairs, Provincial Councils and Local Government has issued a new circular restricting the calling of officers to government offices. The circular is issued as per the decision made at the meeting of Cabinet of Ministers held on 22nd July 2022. Issued to all secretaries to ministries, chief secretaries of provinces and heads of departments, and the circular refers to Public Administration Circular 16 upon 2022 dated 26th June 2022, which is effective until further notice, and Public Administration Circular 16 upon 2022 dated 17th June 2022, which is effective for 2 weeks from 20th June 2022. It states that although the provisions of Public Administration Circular 16 upon 2022 have been issued to be applicable for 2 weeks, taking into account the period after the completion of the said 2 weeks and the current situation, the provisions of the said circular and circular 16 upon 2022 1 should be considered valid till 24th July 2022, the date of issue of this circular, and for a period of 1 month from that date. Sri Lanka's besieged presidential office will reopen on Monday, that's tomorrow, police said, days after anti-government demonstrators were flushed out in a military crackdown that triggered international comments. Widespread public anger over the island's unprecedented economic crisis saw protesters storm and occupy the colonial era building earlier this month. Soldiers were forced to rescue the then President Gotabaya Rajapaksa from his nearby residence on the same day, with the lead fleeing to Singapore and resigning days after. Troops armed with batons and automatic weapons cleared the 92-year-old Presidential Secretariat in a pre-dawn raid on Friday. The office is ready for reopening from Monday, said a police official on Sunday, that's today, who declined to be named and he was not authorized to speak to the media. He told AFP that forensics experts had visited the office to gather evidence of damage by protesters. All government schools will reopen tomorrow. Schools to operate 3 days a week. All government schools under the purview of the Southern Provincial Council will function on all 5 days of a week from tomorrow, according to the Education Secretary of the Southern Province. The Ministry of Education said last week that schools will reopen on tomorrow, 25th, as announced earlier, and that in-person learning in schools will be limited to 3 days a week until further notice. Accordingly, it said the school will function during normal school hours on Monday, Tuesdays and Thursdays, while on Wednesday and Friday students should be given learning activities to be done from home or teaching should be carried out online. This news comes to you from Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Sri Lanka Railway Station Masters Union has decided to call off their 48-hour trade union action after discussion with officials of the National Transport Commission. Railway Station Masters had launched a 48-hour union action from 6 p.m. yesterday in protest of the train fares revision and had refrained from issuing normal railway tickets. Accordingly, a special discussion was held yesterday between representatives of the Sri Lanka Railway Station Masters Union, the railway authorities and the National Transport Commission with regard to the union action and their demands. The Railway Department had announced that the increased train fares would be effective from yesterday. However, the station masters in response had said they would continue to sell tickets at the old fare. And that's local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe reiterates that he will allow non-violent, non-hatred protests. The protesters are allowed to allocated a place at the golf face premises, and there is also another place allocated at Viharama Devi Park for the protesters. The president made these remarks when he met the foreign diplomats to brief about the country's current situation. The president also said the presidential secretariat and the prime minister's offices should function to serve the general public. The protesters will not have rights to disturb or harm the government buildings, preventing the public service. That's top news.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight. Deputy Director General of Health Services Specialist Dr. Hemant Herath reiterates the importance of getting the fourth dose as precautionary measure to address the new Omicron variant. Dr. Herath said many have neglected of having even the third dose. They should get this vaccine as soon as possible. Those who have taken third dose should obtain the fourth dose at the designated medical centers island-wide. Dr. Herath warned of dire consequences for those who ignore these instructions. And that was Watchlight. And moving on to world news. Orc fire emergency declared as a wildfire rages near Yosemite National Park. Ukraine war, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei seeks Arab world's support. Eurotunnel and Dover queues, travelers facing third day of delays. And those are the headlines of the world news. A state of emergency has been declared in part of California as the largest active wildfire in the U.S. rapidly spreads near Yosemite National Park. The Orc fire has quickly grown since starting on Friday, and firefighters have struggled to get the blaze under control. Explosive fire behavior is challenging firefighters, California's fire department said. More than 6,000 people have been evacuated and 10 homes destroyed. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is to address the Arab League on a visit to Egypt, which it has its headquarters in the capital Cairo. He wants to rally support for Moscow as it counters international anger over the war in Ukraine. Mr. Lavrov held talks in Cairo with his Egyptian counterpart, Sameh Shoukry. Holidaymakers and holiers are being warned of another day of a disruption at the Channel Tunnel and the port of Dover after 2 days of gridlock. Overnight, people reported sleeping in cars on the road as approach to the Eurotunnel remained gridlocked. One tired family said the last 3 miles of their journey took 21 hours. And that's world news. And moving on to development news, National Chamber of Exporters of Sri Lanka, NCE, while sending their well-wishes to the newly elected President Ranil Wickremesinghe by the Parliament, also states that the exporter fraternity expects an immediate introduction of system of reforms for economic recovery under his leadership. It is the utmost duty of a newly elected president to stabilize the socio-economic and political system of the country, which is in a dire state, the chamber affirms. And that was development news.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
So what a day of cricket it's been. Sri Lanka have coasted for much of the day but find themselves 6 wickets down for 315 runs. Pakistan have toiled for much of the day and have leaked 315 runs. But they will not be complaining as they have cut through all the major batting threats. Niroshan Dickwella, however, is unbeaten at the crease on the 43 ball 42, having been dropped on 24 by Babar Hassan. his second slip of the match incidentally. If not for that late salvo, it would have been well and truly Pakistan's day as they picked up crucial wickets of Dinesh Chandimal 80 and Dhananjay De Silva 33 in the final hour before the end of play. Scores: Sri Lanka were 315 for the loss of 6 wickets at the end of the first day's play of the second test match against Pakistan in Galle today. And that was sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Bank of Ceylon, Sri Lanka's number 1 banking brand, was once again listed among the world's top 1,000 banks listing, with a ranking of 800, up 53 places from the previous year, making BOC the highest ranked Sri Lankan bank in the listing history. And that was business news.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
In economic news, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka has requested licensed banks and borrowers to meet the start fresh negotiations on debt moratorium. Licensed banks and borrowers are expected to collaborate in implementing and availing these concessions during these challenging times in the interest of subsidizing the stress on individuals and ensuring the sustainability of businesses, which are expected to address the current challenges and support the economic recovery. These concessions are provided on a case-by-case basis depending on the future repayment. And that was economic news.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Finally, in the weather report, the Met Department says atmospheric condition is getting favorable for evening thunder showers in northern, north central, eastern and Uva provinces during the next few days. Several spells of showers will occur in western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places elsewhere during the evening or night. Fairly heavy showers above 75 millimeters can be expected at some places in eastern, Uva and north central provinces. And that was weather report. To wind up this news broadcast or news bulletin, let's look at the main points once again. The President reiterates that he will allow non-violent and non-hatred protests. Circular restricting the calling of officers to government offices. QR code will be implemented from tomorrow, island-wide. 6 fuel ships to arrive in the island shortly. Presidential Secretariat to reopen tomorrow. All government schools will reopen tomorrow. Schools to operate 3 days a week. Southern province schools to function on all 5 weekdays. Railways station masters call off trade union action. And with that, we conclude this evening news broadcast of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.